Welcome to today's talk session. My name is Deidre Moss, and I'm the host of Can We Talk? I'm an educator, motivator, and a talk connoisseur. In our session today, we will focus and talk about community and civic engagement, which is an important aspect of our society. And so I will pass the virtual mic on to Miss Roll. She's our guest today to have her introduce herself. Thank you so much.
Hi, my name is Shaquanda Rule. I am an educator and a social worker. My educational and career background. I am a successful entrepreneur and a business owner of royalty consulting and notary services. I am also the founder of Call to Serve, which is a nonprofit organization. And under both of these establishments, I'm a life coach, a speaker, trainer, mentor, along with an educator and social worker. Last but not least, I'm the mother of three amazing children, and I am from the island of Bimini.
Awesome. So great to have you on board today. And so we are going to start our session. We're going to talk about community. We're going to talk about community and civic engagement. But I know you shared a little bit about your background. We're going to have another guest join us sometime during this session. But we want to talk a little bit about your background. Can you just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, like I said, I'm a mother of three. Um, my I've grew up in Bimini. My parents are from Bimini, Bahamas. I'm now based in Washington D.C. area, where I work. I also work for the state of Virginia as a family service specialist. Along with that, I have my own private practice company, Royalty Consulting and Notary Services. Notary is something similar to a JP in the Bahamas. I'm not the exact, that's why I said similar. And I provide services to those in the state of Virginia area for my notary services, but for my consulting, it is domestic, all 50 states, along with international. So I'm able to provide services throughout the world. I have traveled extensively in my social work career field, um, working with the less fortunate, the homeless, um, women and children who have been abandoned, neglected, abused, domestic violence, which I'm a big advocate against, and just bringing awareness to my community when it comes to domestic violence and gender gentrification. I've worked with the military, the U.S. military, and spouses who, when it comes to co-parenting, that's what I'm doing now, and who are going through, divorce. And I'm I love helping people, and I think that's why I've became a social worker. I've stayed in that field where even if it's to educate, to teach, I started off as a special education teacher, and because I was traveling so much, I started to tap more into my social work field, and I was able to work overseas in Guam as a special education social worker, where I work with children with emotional disabilities. I was able to, volunteer in different countries when it came to helping the less fortunate, or just providing services, advice, mentorship, um, with children who has been in with sex trafficking or abandonment. So that's basically what I've done, and I've learned this as a child. My family has always been even though Bimini is a small island, my family has always been, especially my grandfather, anyone could have come to him for anything and he was there. And I've learned it from him, my grand aunts, my parents, my on what it is to, help others. So that is my background and my education. I started education because my aunt, she is retired from the Ministry of Education now, but she was a teacher for years and she was my third grade teacher. And I never wanted to be a teacher because I felt like she was just so stern. And I think because I was her niece, she was like that more with me, but because of her, that was one of the reasons why I started off as a teacher. So that's pretty much it.
Thank you for sharing your background with us. And you talk so extensively about your work, your social work, your efforts in doing social work, and being involved in community efforts and dealing with basically vulnerable groups. And so I want to thank you for sharing that. And you also talk about being an educator. You kind of remind me of myself because I not necessarily wanted to get into the field of education, but I kind of found my calling in education. And so for me, it's so important to share knowledge and to give knowledge. And that's such an important aspect of our society
Right.
in educating, especially young people, and so it kind of reminded me when you said that, that kind of resonated with me. But you talked about working with vulnerable groups, working in different places around the world. And so I just wanted to ask you, really, social work, it's not really a career that you kind of end up in. So what motivated you? Really, what inspired you to having found yourself in that career?
So, like I stated, I started off as an special education and just working with with children and seeing how they're neglected, or some children would, even though it's in the States, some children would come to school hungry. Some kids would come to school looking as if they're taking care of themselves. And it just amazed me as to, being in a certain country, or even kids, just dealing with children, and to see how we as parents, and I didn't have any, I had my son then, but it it was like me sitting back thinking, I don't want to be able to go home and, my son has everything, that, he's innocent. Our children are innocent. These children are innocent, and they're, unfortunately, they don't have the necessities that they needed. And that is what really pushed me towards, um, social work. And I can remember when I left, Bimini to go to Freeport for high school, my mom, she used to take us to the children's home, in Freeport in Grand Bahama. And, me and my sister used to always be like, we want this baby, to come with us, or this child to come with us. We would go there and play with them. And, all of that as a child, what I like, the experiences, the life experiences, it taught me, a lot to, to be more considerate of others, and how to go about things, and how to treat people. And just becoming a social worker is more than just feeding, providing food and, um, clothing. It is so much more than that. And I love to help people, and sometimes it can be a blessing and a curse because you tend to give so much, but it at the end of the day, once you know you were able to make that difference in someone's life, you don't know who life you saved because you were able to reach out and let them know I am here. And as a social worker, that's what I try to do where if it's a baby, I'm taken out of the hospital to put into foster care, or if it's a mother or wife, I'm trying to protect from being abused, or saving a 15-year-old from being exploited. So once I'm able to make a difference, the smallest difference, at least it's a difference. And that's what pushes me to, be a better social worker and to be a social worker, because it could be me, my nieces, or any family member or friend, and that's going through one of those situations. And if I can make a change in someone's life, I'm blessed and fortunate that I'm able to do that.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. And what I'm hearing you kind of say is making an impact. And it's important for you
Right.
to make an impact. And I want to thank you for sharing that. It's so important. And so just looking at the comments, Miss Thompson is saying, heart of gold. My sister has a heart of gold. And, you have Miss Stewart cheering you on and Gilbert cheering you on. So, you have some persons in the comments cheering you on. So I want to thank you for joining us and cheering Ms. Roll-on in our efforts as we talk about community and civic engagement. So our other guest has joined us. So I just want to give him an opportunity to introduce himself. So I'm going to pass the virtual mic to him to have him introduce himself. So you can take it away, Mr. Cooper.
All right, y'all can hear me? My audio on and everything?
We can hear you. You could go ahead.
All right, my name is Clyde Cooper, father of two, a 17-year-old and a 16-year-old. I'm the CEO of No Limit Auto Care, C&J Auto Sales, and the co-founder of Operation 300, which is a youth empowerment program to mentor and groom youths to be successful auto technicians and entrepreneurs. That's about it.
Awesome. So you kept it brief. And so I asked Miss Rule what inspired her, as we talk about community service and civic engagement, what inspired you, what motivated you? I heard you said that you started or in the process of starting an organization for young men. But what is your motivation?
Because me growing up, it was very difficult to get input from senior men in my community. So basically I had to learn everything myself, So I feel like as youths today, they could be further ahead if they get more guidance to which way to go, especially with social media and so much distractions in the world today. They need guidance. And I feel that's why civil engagements are so important, and it's very important. That's why I target youths, because I feel once you plant a tree while it's young, they wouldn't depart from its ways, because you have a lot of negativity and you don't want that clustered them from the positive, way of living, And basically some youths just need a way out, a way of living, and then you don't want them to go and get influenced by the wrong set of people. So you want to guide them and mentor them. And, civil engagements has always been our powers, like civil movements, stuff like that, you really need in the community. So me as a young man, I know what it is to, try to tug it out on your own. So I just want to help young men to establish themselves and entrepreneurs. And it don't even have to be with auto mechanic, I'm trying to get people like carpenters, electricians, plumbers to get on board, especially in their community. Because how things looking right now, we can't really depend solely on the government. I feel like, the people need to step in and raise their community. When you talk about a community, you're talking about, communicating and unity, because without that, you just have a section with homes, and that's how I feel. It takes a village to raise a child. So what I try to do is any community I'm in, I try to get the young guys together. If I give them a job, or I host 2 summer camps in 2016 and 2017. just to try to groom them, and it's more like I want to do advanced learning as well instead of just the average mechanic, more like programming. So trying to put them on a level, on a technician level before they really come out of high school or, in that sector.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Jumping back to the comments, again, Miss Rowe, you got some persons in the comments. Miss Mitchell, she's saying, go sister. Miss Bethel as well. And so I want to thank you guys for listening and supporting Miss Rowe. And also what you both would have said would have been your driving force, your motivation. Miss Rowe, you talked about your background and having a family that were community builders and giving back, and you would have grown up in that environment, so that kind of was instilled in you. Mr. Roy, you talk about the fact that you didn't necessarily have, growing up, you didn't necessarily have persons to rely on in the community, so you want to make a way available to have an impact on young men, and you talk about that passion that you have to make an impact on your community and community building. So I want to thank you both for sharing really what have motivated you to kind of move into that area. And so I want to ask you about what does it mean to you? Ms. Roll, I'll jump to you first. What does community and civic engagement, what does it mean to you?
I'll say community and civic engagement to me mean providing support and services to individuals or groups that is in the community wherever there is a need that would help them live better, do better, be better. When I say community, I don't mean just my neighborhood or you'll hear me talk about Bimini a lot. Bimini is my home. So not just Bimini. So what I do and has to offer is for the entire Bahamas. It is so much bigger than just supporting one island when we have so many educated persons on every island that is fighting for a cause. They want their voices to be heard. So to me, being able to collaborate with individuals in a community, being able to collaborate with NGOs and government agencies, organizations, and just to provide fairness, justice, empowerment, self-determination to the Bahamas, which is a big community within itself. That is what community and economic civil engagement means to me.
Awesome. Thank you, Ms. Roll. And Mr. Cooper, what does community and civic engagement mean to you? What does this represent to you?
When it comes to civil engagement, when I hear that, I think of power, empowering our people, not like Ms. Rose said, not only the community, but our country, putting people in a better position to help themselves. Not just really to go in the workforce, but to work for themselves and help other people along the way, help their families and change their mindset from that, let me go and work and just make money to make ends meet. I wanna get the youth into a skill set mind, to have a skill though, because it's the skills that pays the bills, you know what I mean? And could take them to another level. So it's all about each one teach one and helping the people around me, in a positive aspect.
Thank you. Thank you. That's so important. You both mentioned important points as a go to Ms. Roll. Ms. Roll said, let's collaborate. Let's collaborate with our community leaders. Let's collaborate with our NGOs, our non-government organizations, and partner with them to for fairness, for justice, and different, issues that arise in our community. And that's definitely important. And then, Mr. Roll, you talk about empowering people, helping families, changing the mindsets that we have in our community from, not just living from paycheck to paycheck, but developing skills, especially with the young people, developing a skill set that will allow you to be able to um, uh, create the lifestyle that maybe you may want for yourself, but developing those core skills. And so those are important points. I jump to Miss Johnson, Miss Candy Johnson, who says, who agrees. These are the things that you both mentioned that come to your mind when you think about community and civic engagement. And so I want to talk about, uh, talk about your I want to talk about, how you've been engaged in your community and what initiatives you are engaged with. So I'll jump to Mr. Roll and then come to you, Mr. Cooper, sorry, and then come to you, Mr. Roll, sorry.
Yeah, from I started the program, I've been doing summer camps every summer free of charge and helping the youth. And especially in my community, the guys take turns working for me like on a Saturday. We give them time, just to show them, hey, this how you could go and probably make a paycheck in one day. One of the guys is like, hey, Cooper, all this is for me. I say, you know what? All this more could be for you. But once I teach you a skill, because it's like, if I give you a fish, I have to feed you every day. If I teach you how to fish, you could feed you, your family, and your generation. So I just been using my skills because it's hard when I'm a one-man band. So I'm just taking steps, initially I'll get where I want to be, but so far I'm just teaching whoever I could reach to or mentor and give advice to any youth I come encounter with and try to get them under my wing. So that's basically what I've been doing for now.
Thank you so much, Ms. Roll. You want me to repeat the question?
I can just piggyback up Mr. Cooper. As a social worker, I have worked with a diverse group of people traveling and living in other countries. I've engaged by bringing a positive and measurable change through awareness and education and empowerment. And you'll probably hear me speaking of those three a lot because that is what is needed in every community. I try to live by what I teach, trying to be the solution and not the problem. I work with, like I said earlier, I work with women, children, and families who have been faced with traumatic experiences, and just to, be able to give them an opportunity to live a better life or take them out of that situation they were in, is what I do in my field. And I can say what I have engaged in is my daily living of this is what I do on a daily basis, not just once a week or once a month, but I can go back to what I've engaged in. Let's say when Hurricane Dorian came about in 2019, I had just moved to Georgia and started working for the state of Georgia, and Hurricane Dorian came, and I was telling my supervisor and my director, I need a leave of absence. Yes, I'm here saving and helping other people and other communities live a better life, but I have family and people that I know who are suffering at this moment. So the minute when I got word that, okay, others can come in and volunteer or offer services, I said, either I can put in a leave of absence or this is my 2 weeks and my resignation, because I can't be over here living and my people are suffering, and I felt so, vulnerable. So they allowed me to go put in a leave of absence, and I went to Freeport and I volunteered my services. And I was like, you know what, I need my boots on the ground. I cannot just be watching and seeing what's going on and assuming. And that's where I say I tried to be more of the solution and not the problem, instead of, being on social media and saying, oh, the government should do this, or this is what should be done, instead of, making a difference yourself. So I was able, like I said, I was able to come home, volunteer, help those who are in need, provide from medical equipment. I mean, just from alcohol to a meal that night, I was able to provide. I was able to do what I love to do and help, and um, even counseling. I've learned in that. Then, wow, our Bahamian people are really so shunned. Like when it comes to therapy or counseling, they do not accept that. And
Well, that's an important point. That's
yeah,
definitely important.
so what I did, I was able to. I brought stuff for the social services department as well, and I was able to leave some dolls and stuff for the children. And I was explaining to one of the workers that, in this time with the kids going through, experiencing this hurricane, I would hope that social services will be able to provide play therapy or something for the children, because we always think about how the parents are dealing with situations, but our kids are affected as well. And that's
Yes,
what I
yes.
do when it comes to our survivors that go through domestic violence. I also I don't only target the survivors, and I call the victim and the survivors, because they are survivors despite of. Um, also target the kids that impacted by it, because we only focus on that survivor, but our children are impacted by these traumatic experiences as well. And so that is what I do to engage in helping and in my community.
Yeah, you mentioned some important points, and you talked about, not just being vocal. So many persons are vocal. Yeah, okay. But what are you actually doing? What is the work that you're actually putting in to make a difference? We all can talk and complain about what we see, but what is the work that we're putting into making a difference and making progress for the development and advancement of our society? And so you talk about the fact that you actually wanted to put action to the things that you were seeing. You saw things that you didn't like, and you felt that you could make an impact, and you felt that you can make a difference no matter how small it is. And Mr. Cooper, you talk about your summer programs. You offer free summer programs over the summer for young boys. And I think you mentioned you have men who participate in this program as well. So thank you for sharing that. So I want to jump to another question as it pertains to your view of our community, as you survey our communities in the country. What is your view, and do you think, or why do you think it's important to build our society from the community level and engaging in these community service activities and to help build our society? I'll go with you first, Ms. Roll, and then go to you, Mr. Cooper.
I would say, bridging the gap is what I viewed as why not build a community at a community level. It is so important to build society at the community level, because the individuals in the community, they know what is needed. They know, they go through the effects of it daily, and because of that, we can be able to build, unite, take action, create policies to make a change. And that's the only way it can be done, as doing it as a community. It provides social, cognitive, psychological benefits for not just the community, but individuals on the whole. For me, I'll say it's a life satisfaction, because when you build, you're not just building, you're helping. You're you you it it helps me to know that I was able to help others. It helps create a special bond when serving, allowing the community to increase social awareness and responsibilities. And it's not just a one-man show. You're not just doing it on your own. Like Mr. Cooper said, you're able to enhance personal knowledge, grow and learn from new experiences, and just building and a better self-determination, because you'll be able to see the outcome of what you've built, and not just saying, oh, I do this, and everyone um taking that praise of what they do, but no, it was done as a whole. Everyone was united, and just bridging that gap for everyone to become one, to have a better community is what I think will be why we should build from a community level.
That you said that. You talk so much about uniting and collaborating. It's not a one-man show, but coming together as a community to make things better, coming together. You talk about that a lot, coming together, coming together. That's so important. That is key. Thank you.
And I think it is important because growing up, you know how it is home. We tend to blame for everything that can go wrong or can go right. No government is right. No one person who's trying to make a change is right. So if you feel like I'm doing wrong or the government is doing wrong, why not let's brainstorm and figure it out. Let's take points.
Figure it out together.
Yes, instead of saying, oh, Ms. Moss said this, and because she said this was no, the world has changed. It is so much bigger than us. And
yes,
we have to have a passion for the people,
yes.
just say it, live it. And
exactly.
And this is how we can have a better Bahamas. This is how we can have a better community. This is how we can have a better self-worth, by just living a life that is not all about us.
Yes.
And that's how I feel like that's the only way a change can come.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much. That's powerful. And just want to stand along with that, second that it's about working together, collaborating with each other, brainstorming, coming together. One person does not hold the key. We have to come together to bring all those wonderful ideas together to make a positive change. I want to thank you for sharing that. And we'll bring in Mr. Cooper. Mr. Cooper, why is it important to, well, when you survey, our communities around us. Why is it so important to build our society at the community level or from the community level?
Well, me, I've been in a lot of communities, and that's what really inspired me to set up programs, because, okay, you need so many young men, and nice, good young men, who, you listen to them, and they men tend to, or children tend to tell you their stories and things they went through. And sometimes further down the line, you see them get caught up with one bad decision which could, get them 40 years in jail, or they become murderers. And you look and you say, man, listen, that was a good young boy. And I don't know what's going wrong. All of a sudden, he just rebelled. And, people tend to look down on people when they make bad decisions. But sometimes they just didn't have the guidance. They just didn't have somebody to say, hey, oh boy, that ain't the way to go, You could take this direction. You could live longer. One day you want to have a family, One day you want to provide for your kids and your mother. You want to put your mother in the home, things like that. Don't let the pressure get to you. Ain't nothing like when you could tell a young brother, listen, I've been through that, You see what I'm saying? You got to be strong, and you just have to tug it out, because out here in these young guys' mind, and you can't blame them, because that's what society showed them. Nobody really cares. People, they come on the shows and say so forth, but when it come really down to the nitty gritty, who can they go to for help? If you go to the pastor, no disrespect, he may tell you go and pray. You go to the government, they may give you the runaround. So that's why it's important for people who've been through it to grab them and say, hey, wait, that's how I make it out. I got it from the mud. I ain't had to steal, I ain't had to rob. I just use a skill in my brain. What do you like to do? You know what I mean? Okay, let's figure this out together. Let me put you under my wing. When I move, or come with me, come put on some weight, and you will be surprised of the decisions these young men make. Sometimes it just could be just being hungry, or mommy got evicted. Growing up, I knew guys who was like 13 and 14, homeless. Mommy died, they didn't have no father. So imagine, like, as I get older, I was like, wow, imagine, because that pressure some big man can't take. You know what I mean? So as me becoming a man, I was like, whoa, some of my friends really, boy, they went through it. Some survived, some didn't. So it's all back to just trying to guide them in the right direction, not only for our community, but if we help the people, we can help our community, and our community can help our country. So that's why I feel like it's so important, because what I've seen and also what I've experienced.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. You talked about you've lived that, and you kind of understand. It's so important to have people who've actually walked that road, because you have an intimate understanding of what the persons around you may be going through, and so you know exactly how to tell them, listen, I walked this road, I've been there. This is how you overcome it, because I've overcame it. And so you have an intimate understanding that maybe someone who may not have experienced that may not. And so that's important as well, having people who actually been through those experiences, and that is how you build a community. And I wish we had more of that. I wish we had more people on the ground in the trenches actually reaching out to young persons who are being impacted and are dealing with so many different issues and so many different challenges in their lives. And so that is very important, to be out there and actually doing the ground work and reaching out to those people at their level. And so I want to jump to another question as it pertains to young individuals. I heard both of you talk about young individuals and wanting to make an impact. So why do you think it's so important to reach out to the younger members within our community? I'll start with you, Mr. Roll, and then come to you, Mr. Cooper, and then come to you, Ms. Roll. Sorry.
Yeah, see, I feel it's important because, there's a saying, you bend the tree while it's young, and they wouldn't depart. Sometimes you have to catch them before their mind really start to develop, because it could go left and not right. You have to catch them while they're young, while they have that imagination, while they believe. It's very important to catch them at that stage. So targeting youth, I feel, I'll teach anybody, but mainly I try to get the youth because, they pure. You get them and you groom them and you train them. Like, for instance, what I know at the age of 38, what I didn't know at my young age, I try to impute that in the youth. I try to teach them. It took me years to learn. So by the time they reach my age, they could be 10 steps ahead of me, you know. So it's important to grab them while they're young, you know, and get them that training that they deserve, because if we don't grab them, somebody else could grab them in a negative way. I heard a young man say the other day, jail is a joke, and this is serious, because we watch the news every other day, and sometimes it is just be like, wow, and that's why it's important, because if we don't get them while they're young, they're going to be in the streets regardless. You see what I'm saying? So guys in the streets going to grab them and put in their head, okay, this is the way out, you have to live. this what you have to rap, or this how you can make it in life. And it's all a trick, and these guys who are old and ain't have nothing going on for them, but they telling these guys, hey, this is the way to go, and we enjoying it. That's how we living, and that's how so many youths get wrapped up in society.
Thank you, Mr. Cooper. You talk about, reaching out to the young members of our community, catching them while they're young, because if you don't reach them, somebody else is going to reach them. And when they do reach them, they may not be reaching them with the information that we want them to reach them with. So I just want to jump to the comments, and I want to thank our viewers for listening in. Cheryl Weaver is watching from Antigua and Barbuda. Thank you for joining us, Cheryl. And Bradley Missick is joining us from Fall River, Massachusetts. Thank you, Mr. Missick. Thank you so much for joining us. Also want to jump to the comments. Candy Johnson talk about teamwork, which Mr. Rowe would have talked about so many times, collaboration, working together to make progress in our community. Ms. Johnson said, you surely did that, Ms. Rowe. You came and you wanted to make an impact. You talked about coming to Freeport after the hurricane and wanted to make an impact. So she said, you surely did that. Also jumping to other persons commenting, Ms. Mitchell saying, well said, Ms. Roll. Miss Martin, who is watching, thank you so much for watching us. Miss Johnson saying, welcome to the Bahamas. Thank you for listening in. Miss Mitchell says she loves the points. Thank you so much for listening in. So if I see any new comments, I'm definitely going to mention you. I want to thank you so much for listening in. And I want to get to you, Miss Roll, about reaching young individuals. Why is it so important to reach the young members of our community?
Okay. First off, I want to commend Mr. Cooper for what he has been doing, especially with the young men, because it is needed, and especially home. This may sound cliche, but our children are the future, and it is important to reach them. And like the Bible says, train up a child in the way they should go. When they are old, they won't depart. As a child, I had the best education. I grew up in with an amazing family, and because of that foundation, the expectations was already set for me. Even though I might have detoured, I was still able to come back into alignment, and because of that, I was, I was able to go to school. I was able to get a education, to come back and be able to instill it in those who are younger than me, the youths. So it is important to reach our youths now, because they will be our future. They will be running the country one day. We will be in their operating rooms. Our children and our grandchildren will probably be in their classrooms, so it's important. And I want to encourage those who are listening, who are parents, who are aunts, uncles, to start at home. Don't wait for me or Mr. Cooper to come out into the community to teach our youths, okay, this is the better way of living. Start from home. Let's be an example from home. Let your child know what it is to, live a life that is, that where they can reap abundance. Speak into them, because they're going to school for an education, and that's what they're getting, an education. They're not getting away to, when they're out of school, when reality hits or when circumstances come their way, how to deal with it. So I think it's best to be able to start this from home, to encourage them. And I'll say, like, for me, I have a 4-year-old, and every morning we go to school, I drop her to school, I speak words of affirmation. So she has this long list of what she know. Okay, mommy is going to say this. I am powerful. I am successful. I am ambitious. She is 4 and I am speaking these things into her now. And she knows what to say and she repeats after me. And she know when we get to the end, because I will finish it off, and I am a child of God. And she will say, and I am bad to the bone, So, and she said it with so much attitude and fierce, like she knows this is who she is. So it is so important for us as parents and as leaders to start in the home, so our children will know the way to go, not to, yes, you may detour, and there will be circumstances that will cause you to detour, and there will be situations that you may fall short, but that foundation is set, and it was set from home. And like I say, don't wait for me or Mr. Cooper or government leaders or law enforcement to have to get involved. Let's start now so they will know I am the future leader. Of the Bahamas, of the United States.
Absolutely.
I will do what Miss Moss is doing one day because I want to be able to make a change. So let's start now in the home as a parent. And
absolutely,
that's what's important.
Absolutely. I'll jump into the comments again. Miss April Hummingbird Sawyer is watching from Miami. Thank you so much for joining us today, Miss Sawyer. And thank you all. I'm going to get to your comments, each and every one of you. Thank you so much for listening in. It's so very important. This topic is so very important. Community engagement, building our nation, building our society. Ms. Rowe, you talked about starting at home, not waiting for children to encounter the police officials, not waiting for our children to encounter community members, but in putting that information in them, instilling that information in them, and letting them know that they can change the world, that they're powerful. Miss Johnson said, start from under the age of 10. Thank you, Ms. Johnson. So definitely we want to instill this in our children. It starts at home, but sometimes, we're not always able to get that guidance at home. And this is where our community comes in. This is where our community leaders come in. This is where our community organizations come in. And so that is why we want to have these talks about, taking action and how we can progressively build our society and build our community. And so I wanna ask you, what is as you survey our community, what is your hope, and what is your hope for our community, and also, how do you plan to contribute to making, what you see for our community, advancement, development? How would you contribute to making that a reality?
Me or Mr. Cooper go?
Well, since you open up the mic.
Okay, I would say my hope is, to build back, restore. Things has changed, and the way we lived before, that'll be no more. But it's time.
Oh yes, powerful.
It's time for us as a community to move forward. And as a child growing up in the Bahamas, it has always have been drilled in us from kindergarten, forward, upward, onward, together.
Yes.
I want to use this platform, to speak to the Bahamas. Let us just not recite the motto, let us move, let us live in the motto. Forward, upward, onward, together. That's the only way we can, we can be better. And I can only, me as an individual, I can only do so much, but as a community, we can do much more. As I mentioned, I'm from Bimini. Yes. I'm going to make that known because they think no one good can come.
Yes, you may. Bimini.
Yes, Bimini is on the map. But we know as the island, the smallest island in the Bahamas, Bimini is the gateway to the Bahamas. So let's make the Bahamas the gateway to the world now. You know, we have so much talent, so much creativity in the Bahamas. Why, you know, sit on it? So let's build and restore. It doesn't always have to be about tourism. It doesn't always have to be about our beaches. It is so much more
Yes.
us as
Yes.
people. But
Absolutely. Yes.
we can only do that if we come together as one.
Yes.
You know, the Bahamas is one of the richest countries in the world, believe it or not. And the majority of the resources are in other countries. Why? And when I say the
Yes.
resources, I'm talking about people like myself,
Yes.
those that
Yes.
those that
Speak it.
live abroad. You know, I have a cousin, she works for the CDC,
Mm-hmm.
and she is very educated, very
Yes.
talented, you know.
Mm-hmm.
My my brother, my younger brother, he studied sports medicine, you know,
Yes.
but he's not home. I'm
Mm.
not home
Wow.
because there are no opportunities there for us.
Yes.
And we're here in other countries making it better. But even though we're doing that, I would like to encourage them,
Yes.
as I do, you know, to contribute
Yes.
contribute themselves by choosing a program or agency whom to volunteer, you know, to even if it's a once a year, twice a year. um, I know my contribution will be to provide services um,
Yes.
where it's needed. It might be free at times, it might be a fee. It just all depends. But whatever service I provide is valuable and beneficial to the Bahamas, you know, and to the needs of our people. And I'm not only guaranteed to just the Bahamas, because we have a lot of Bahamian citizens here in the United States. I want to be able to um, my company to collaborate with the Bahamas government and be able to be more of a social work liaison to help our people here that's not in the Bahamas,
Mm-hmm.
because they a lot of our people they move to the US thinking, okay, it's the land of the free. Yes, it is.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But everything that they say is free is not free, because there
That's
will
right.
be certain consequences. And you know, people move here, does not know state policies, does not know
Yeah.
the legality of certain things. They will
Mm-hmm.
get into certain situation with law enforcement or even social services, and they're just there. There's no help, no one from whom coming to, you know, advocate for them. Um, so these are the things that, you know, that is needed. You know, I
Yes.
in my nonprofit called to serve, I'm hoping that I'll be able to provide services to them that's here. Be able to go into, even though the Bahamas is supposed to have a program where someone will go into the prisons and meet with the citizens. That is not being utilized. So that's where
Mm.
my services will be able to come in as a social worker liaison for the Bahamas, or you contract my company and I can go in and meet with our citizens that's behind bars. You
So
know,
you're saying currently that's not available?
it should be. They will say it is, but it's not being utilized. And I can say that because I did my homework, and I've spoken with many citizens that has been released from prison, returned back to the Bahamas, um, and I've worked with former government agencies where I was able to assist with case management and immigration issues that they were faced with, helping where a child not did not have to go into custody or in the system in the US, but was able to be returned home to the Bahamas, you know, and going back to saying where we have citizens in the prison where they're not being, you know, advocated for.
Represented.
Yes, no family member. The family is in at home. Just okay. So and so is in jail. What lawyer does he have? Sometimes they are not even able to plea, or they'll be given a lawyer that's uh, appointed by the courts, and no one is hearing from them. They're in the jail. Not No one from home is visiting. When I say no one from home is visiting, no official, no government official, or no one that is appointed. And that's something I want to do. Not just um, reach out and help those home in the Bahamas, but be able to be that. It all goes with me going back to say bridging that gap between the US and the Bahamas, law enforcement, and to why, how to navigate and help our citizens here in the Bahamas. In the US. And certain things I do that I haven't done in a while, but I will be starting again with helping those who are, going back to school, and being able to help with college students. When I've been to college 10 years ago, and I know it wasn't as hard for me as it was for others that I would hang with, other Bahamian children or even children from the Caribbean, that only was able to do certain things. And when me and my brother at the time was in college, we were like, oh, we're going to Olive Garden to eat. We're going to this place to eat. We don't feel like eating the food at the cafeteria. I can remember one term, my phone bill was higher than my college tuition. And it was like, girl, you just wasting money. And the thing is, like, I want to be able to help our college students from home, help with tuition, help with books, help with, whereas they don't have detergent, they don't have to borrow, alleviate that stress from our parents, Bahamian parents from home, because they're helping their other kids to go through school. They're helping, taking care of their parents, so it's so much that we can do as a community and as one person, just to make a change. That's what is important to me and how I'm planning to contribute. And if I don't have the collaboration or the support from government, I know the Lord, with the vision the Lord give me, and He will provide provision for me. So I'm not just dependent on the Bahamas government to help me, because it's bigger than the Bahamas government.
Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing that. And that's so important. I'm going to get to you, Mr. Cooper, but that's so important. We can't always wait for someone to come along or people to come along to give us a leg up. If you have that vision to do something, you get out there and you do it. You're not always going to have everything line up, all the ducks line up in the road to kind of, have everything in perfect condition. But just to get started, just get started. You know what I mean? Just get started. So that's important. And you talked about so many things, and I can just hear and see, I can hear your passion, and that you do have a desire to make an impact. You do have a desire to help. And that's very important. You talk about our richest result. I mean, we are so small. But we have so many talented, bright, intelligent persons. And are we creating conditions for these bright minds to even want to be here, to want to contribute to the development and progression and advancement of our community? Or do we create an environment that said, you know what, I'm just better off where I'm at? So it's a very, it's a very sad cycle, that our best and brightest do not feel as though they don't feel welcome in their own communities. They don't feel welcome in their own society to help build and develop our communities. But that's another topic for another day. We have a whole brain drain situation that we have to talk about. But I want to jump to our comments, and I want to thank those our listeners for listening. And I want to Bimini, Miss Candy Johnson, Bimini Powerful. Okay, you're rocking for Bimini. Glenda Roca from Bimini, I guess she's listening in. Ms. Sherman is saying, yes, Q, it's so important for kids to know who they are and what they possess at an early age. Miss April Sawyer is saying, very important to reach the young people where they are. It definitely takes a village to raise children. Young men without fathers often fall victim to negative advice. So be that positive role model, and being that positive role model is important. Miss Bean is saying, proud of you, sister girl. Marcia Lynn is saying, Bahamas strong. In our childhood, a village raised the children, and we have to taught from this. The younger generation does not like others to discipline their children. Ooh, that's a whole nother point, Miss Line. You're touching something. Discipline is not always a spanking. Esther Stewart, she's cheering you on. Miss Roll, Miss Mitchell cheering you on. Miss Johnson, and so many. Thank you so much for commenting. So thank you so much. And again, I want to mention that our resources, our best and brightest, as you would have mentioned, are we creating conditions for them to want to be here in our communities, or do we push them out? Okay, we'll get to that. That's a whole nother
topic. Yes,
we got to come back and unpack that. That's a whole nother topic. But I want to jump to you, Mr. Cooper, and ask you about the same question. Ask you about the same question. Your hope, how do you intend to make it a reality? Your hope for our community as we wind down. I definitely want to bring you guys back because we have to continue this talk. We have to continue this conversation. But as we wind down in this session, I want to ask you your hope for the community and making that hope a reality.
Yeah, my hope is just to change the mindset. I feel like so many Bahamians sell themselves short. We need to be more self-dependent. Everybody and these grown adults, everybody is the government. Go there and make things happen. Change the mentality. And once I could change the mentality, I can't do it by myself, but once we come together, because we from the old school, this ain't how we was brought up. And when you go on social media, sometimes, it's a mode open, like, wow, like this what's going on. So, it's not, they say it's not good to move backward, but we have to go back to our roots, and we have to get back on track because we falling short, and it's so much in the Bahamas. The funny thing about it is we have Bahamians going abroad, but foreigners coming here to make it. You understand? So
and they making it.
and they making it. And they making it, so it's just the mindset. That's what I'm trying to change. I feel once I could change the mind, we'll be good, but in timing,
Definitely. And I want to invite you guys back. I'm going to reach out to you for another day. We have to continue this talk as we wind down to our session. I just want to ask you if you have any additional comments you would like to make before we close out today. Mr. Roll, I'll start with you. Mr. Cooper, see, I triple. Mr. Cooper, I'll start with you and then I'll jump to you, Mr. Roll.
Yeah, only thing I'd like to say was it's so important that we all get involved with civil engagement in any way we can. If it's just a sound advice or, that even if it's a stranger who is close to you, let's get back involved in our communities. That's how we was raised up. Let's do this together. As one, onward, forward together. Let's everyone chip in and let's make this happen. Anything you could contribute to society. It doesn't have to be, financially. It could be verbally, just hey, you can make it. Just keep up the good work. I see you working hard, and we could be good, man. If we come from good people, but down the line, the generation is going astray, and we have to hold it that because that's what our grandparents did for us, you know. So we just want to keep that and don't let that go too far.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Cooper, Ms. Roll. Any additional comments? And you can also share your page. If you have any page, I'll get back to you, Mr. Cooper. If you have any page or anything you'd like to share before we end, please feel free to do so.
Okay, no problem.
Yes, I will just, piggyback off Mr. Cooper again. And those who have been putting in the comments that it takes a village. It do take a village. And we are our brother's keepers, It is so important in this day and age to be a part of a solution, a movement, and not just to
Yes,
down,
yes.
not just to continue to play the blame game and do the you say, I say, it's time to make a change, be the change that you want to see in your community. And you don't know who life you
Yes.
might change and your change. So be positive. We need a positive generation now. And I know I spoke of my family a lot, and because they have been a change in my life. My family were, we will fight and argue against each other, but the minute you say something about that next person, you could get it on. Okay, you're not. No one is gonna come out of that and think we're defending just So I want to encourage those that are watching, be a part of the solution.
Yes.
Help where you can.
Mhm.
If I could remember, people back in the day, you could have go and borrow something from a neighbor or a family
Mhm.
member and not hear about it. You don't
Yes.
have to talk everything.
Exactly.
If you want to be a part of the solution, you want to help, just help. Everything does not have to be broadcast on
Oh, that's so
social media.
that is so powerful. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Just be who you are and be the best that you can. But we are living this life not just for us. It is bigger than us, and
Exactly.
it's for those who are coming behind us. You want
Mhm.
to build legacy, because that's what I am doing.
Absolutely.
For me, for my children, for my nieces, my nephews, for my cousins. Just
Man, you're skipping over some powerful points, Ms. Rowe. Let's go back to what you said. When the work that you do does not always, okay, you're helping someone.
yeah.
No.
I have done so much behind closed doors,
Yes.
and can sit back and smile because I was a part of that, and no one knows. That is more powerful than
Exactly.
anything, because you only could get that clout for what, 10-15 minutes, probably 24 hours on Facebook, compared to a lifetime of, you were able to
Changing
help.
someone's life.
Yeah, you were able to put food on someone else's table, because they could not afford it. You were able to pay someone electric bill or some bill, or say, you know how good I just feel sometimes when, and I have to learn to stop, because it's sometimes I'll be,
You'll overextend yourself.
yes, I do, but it feels so good when I know I can help someone,
Yes.
and I still have extra to help.
Yes.
Even though I already just give away something, I still have
Yes.
more to help, and
Exactly.
and the blessings just come to me so much when I do that, and it's not only coming to me, it's coming to my children. I might not reap some of the blessing, but it's so much to stand in the gap to help others, because
Exactly.
you reap what you sow. You
Oh
definitely
yeah, definitely,
reap
definitely.
that
You
blessing.
get it back in so many ways, and not just financially, but in so many ways it returns back to you.
And that's where the mindset has to change, because it's
Yes.
not only with money, it's not always financial.
Yes.
I can sit down for an hour, and someone can call me and they just vent to me for an hour,
Yeah.
and I can
Yes.
just
You
talk them off
touching some
that
powerful
ledge,
points,
you
Miss
know,
Lola. Oh boy,
talk
touching
them
some
off of that
powerful points.
ledge, or just
Yes.
listen. Someone just wants you to listen sometimes.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
just be that person you would have
Mhm.
want someone to be for
Be
you
for you.
when you were
Absolutely.
in that a situation,
Uh-huh.
and no one has to know. So
That's key.
so that
That's key.
that that is what I do to help others and to help me, because sometimes I'm going through, but I'm there to help someone who's going through.
That's right.
So I
Absolutely.
can help someone, and I'm here going through this.
Going through your own,
situation,
and that's the most meaningful one, when you know that you're struggling and you're
Yes,
going through your own situation, but yet still you open up your heart and your
right,
hands to help someone else.
right, and that's the way I feel. You know, as a community, as just doing services for the community, or just for one person, we bridge that gap. And everything I try to do it with consideration and a caring heart and with love, because at the end of the day, it could have been you. And the
Absolutely.
only difference is the choices you've probably made, or
Yes.
you have not went through it as yet. So
Absolutely.
just do
Powerful.
what
All powerful.
you can do, where someone at the end of the day will be able to sit back and say they did not do it for the clout, but they did it with a sincere heart.
Absolutely. So powerful. And
And
that comes in.
to add to that, I am on all social media platforms. Uh, you feel like you need to reach out, don't hesitate to reach out. And wherever I can help or assist, I will be happy to do it.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So we have come to the end of the session. We're going to come back with a part 2 to this, because we didn't touch everything we were supposed to touch. So I'm going to get back to you and definitely reach out to you with a date where we can continue part 2 of the session. Before we close out, I just want to go to our comments one more time to see if any additional commentary was made. I want to thank everyone, for listening in. Thank you so much for being a part of our session today. How can you reap a harvest if you don't sow? So very powerful, Miss Williams. There's strength in unity. Yes, thank you. Thank you so much, Miss Williams. Thank you so much. Just going through the comments. Thank you. Thank you so much for being a part of it. Glenn Roll is proud of you, Miss Johnson said. Thank you for those listening in, Mr. Mystic from Fall River, Massachusetts, Miss Weaver from Antigua, and Bob Buda, Miss Sawyer from Miami. Thank you so much for listening to our talk today. We're so happy to have you guys on board, but we're going to continue this talk because this is so very important. And so with that, we've come to the end of our session. I want to thank everyone for listening in. Like our page for future notifications, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're on LinkedIn, we're on Twitter, we're on TikTok. And so like our page, you can follow our social handles to keep abreast of what we're doing as we continue to highlight those topics that matter. We want to talk about things that are impacting our community, not just from the local perspective, from regional and international perspective. And so this is what we're all about. We want to bring everyone into this conversation. So I want to thank our guests also for being a part of the session today. Any final words? You guys good? But we're going to continue this. We have to continue this talk. We didn't touch everything. Mr. Cooper, you have any final words?
No, not really. Just thanks for having me on the show. And
we have to, no, we're not done yet. We have a part 2. We didn't touch everything. So I'm going to get back to you guys with some dates. So with that, we've come to the end of our session. Can we talk? Thank you so much for everyone listening in. Thank you so much. Goodbye, everyone.